What's the story? Oh my god. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story. Are you ready for story time? Tell me that you're ready. Okay, I'm going to tell you a story about my friend who was also my roommate in college, and he was really funny. So this one time, he went on this date with this girl, and she was kind of like a status climber, even though she was only like 19 years old, which was kind of weird. But at the school I went to, which was like a private school that I went to for free because nepotism, and my dad was a teacher there, there were these like people there who were there because they were like, they were from like poor backgrounds, and they got in and they got scholarships, and they really wanted to be part of the upper class. Like that's what they want. That's what going to college was to them. And this girl was one of those girls. But she wasn't very experienced in the ways of the world. So she came over to our house that we all lived in, like way too many people in this house, like way beyond the legal limits of what the fire marshal would allow. And they were just in the living room, and they decided to watch movies. And they're drinking beer, watching movies, which is a very normal thing to do. At some point she says, like, is this a thing that you... Like, they're watching some movie that he wanted to watch, like fucking Reservoir Dogs or something. And something she wanted to watch, like fucking The Phantom of the Opera or something. And she says, can you drink beer while watching movies? And this is like the only thing that we do in this house. So he's like, yeah, you can. So she has 2 beers. And she throws up on our floor. Because she's a noob. So, he like gets the towel and cleans up her vomit and puts her on the couch. And eventually walks her home because she's not feeling well. So they get back to her dorm, and she says, I have to tell you something. And he's like, okay. And she says, I'm seeing someone else. Like in a really dramatic tone of voice. And he's like, oh. And she says, yes. His father is the finest lawyer in all of Zurich. And he's like, okay. And he says, well, my father is but a poor shoe cobbler. At which point they proceed to kiss passionately before he leaves her doorstep and ends that romance forever. It's just one of my favorite stories of all time. Because I love the quick-wittedness of saying, my father is but a poor shoe cobbler. After he says she says this shit about the finest lawyer. Like, what does it mean to be the finest lawyer in all of Zurich? Is that that sounds like a 19th century thing. I don't think that's a 21st century thing. I don't think there is a finest lawyer in all of Zurich. Alright. So let me tell you a story about a time that I got into. So this is a legitimate story that I'm not making up in any way. I got into a fight once on a bridge over a pit of alligators, which I know sounds like total bullshit, but I actually have a very plausible explanation for how this happened. So I was in high school, and I played the cello in the orchestra. Because look at me, like these are cello playing hands. These are not fighting hands, right? But the point is, we went on a school orchestra trip, which we had to pay for by selling trash to our neighbors, which I still feel bad about. Like Christmas wreaths or some stupid shit like that. So we, got on a bus to Orlando. We're down there. The parents have chosen the activities. And one of the activities is gator shining, which you probably know what it is if you're from Florida. But if you don't, it's a very stupid thing that tourists usually, I guess, do in Florida. Where what you do is you shine flashlights in the alligator's eyes, and then you throw hot dogs at them and watch the alligators eat the hot dogs. And basically what happened, so what they do is they take you out to this like pier, right? And you walk on this like wooden bridge over this like swampland where there's a ton of alligators. And so we walked out there, and this fucking kid, his name was Matt, and his name really was Matt, so it's kind of fucked up that I'm telling you this. But he was like, instead of throwing the hot dogs at the alligators, he was like putting them down girls' shirts. Because, he was horny and angry and 16 and didn't know any better. So he was doing that, and then I thought it would be funny to get revenge by putting a hot dog down his pants. So I came up behind him, and I put a hot dog down his pants. And he turned around and clocked me in the side of the head with a flashlight. And it wasn't really, I guess calling this a fight is a bit of an exaggeration, because I didn't really fight back, because I'm not really much of a fighter, to be honest. But there was this like, I definitely was like smashed in the face with a flashlight. And I definitely reeled back and like leaned over the ledge and looked down into a swamp full of hungry alligators. So that's the story of that. I guess that's kind of a disappointing story fundamentally, because it's a story where the description of the story is a lot more interesting than the actual story.